As of now, there's currently around 5,000 skate parks globally, with more skate parks being built every year. Even though no two skate parks are the same, a lot of them do share some similarities, and once you've been skating long enough, you start to notice some patterns in the different styles of skate parks. In this video, we're going to go over a few different types of skate parks that you've probably seen before. That is, of course, unless you don't skate, in which case you probably haven't seen any of these. So to start things off, we have the contest park. The contest park is the kind of skate park that's designed to mimic a skateboarding contest layout. Most of them follow a street league-like format that consists of one large section with a big stair set and rail, a more technical section with ledges and flat bars, and there's normally some sort of bowl or transition that's tucked away in the back. Since the amount of contest skating has grown in recent years, the number of parks that are built in this style has also grown, and there's a bit of debate as to whether this is good or bad. Some skateboarders appreciate these parks and the overall structure that they have, but other skaters don't like how these parks are more similar to training facilities for contests rather than normal skate parks. For number 2, we have the backyard skate park. Every skateboarder hopes of having a backyard skate park someday, but not a lot of people ever get one because they take up a lot of space and they can be really expensive to build. Backyard skate parks come in a wide variety of designs, and they don't have any specific style. Some backyard skate parks are only a small collection of wooden ramps, and others are full-on concrete parks. This type of park usually focuses on the standard obstacles since there's not a ton of space to build anything weird, but for a lot of skaters, the basic obstacles are also the most fun. The cool thing about backyard skate parks is you don't have to worry about when it closes or opens, and you never have to deal with people getting in your way. Overall, backyard skate parks allow you to have less crowded sessions, and they can be a lot of fun to skate. Number 3 on the list are DIYs. DIY skate parks are some of the more interesting parks out there, and you can find one in essentially every city. A DIY skate park can be anything from an abandoned foundation with just a few ledges and rails on it to a full-on skate park that costs thousands of dollars. These types of skate parks are built by the local skateboarding communities, and even though they can be a little rough around the edges, they can also be a lot of fun to skate. DIY skate parks are rarely built by professionals, so the ramps aren't always perfect, but they also tend to have some really cool and unique features that you probably wouldn't see at any other park. One major downside to DIY spots is that they're almost always built without permission, so it's not uncommon to see them get destroyed. This is kind of a shame because DIY spots normally repurpose an area that was already abandoned and utilize it for something that actually benefits people. A DIY skate park is a direct result of the local area either not having enough skate parks or not having any skate parks at all, so it's always sad to see them get destroyed. DIY skate parks are definitely my favorite kind of skate park because I feel like they have the most character, but again, if you think there's a style of skate park that's better, then go ahead and leave it in the comments. Number 4 on the list is the outdated skate park. This one can cover a wide variety of parks, but the overall criteria is generally the same. The outdated skate park is at least 10 years old. It likely has a little graffiti or a few damaged ramps. They tend to have a couple of obstacles with weird dimensions, and if you're lucky, you might have a handful of the basic obstacles that are actually fun to skate. Even though these parks might have been really cool when they were first built, by now they're definitely a bit weathered, and when you compare them to newer skate parks, they're not the most impressive. You do have to give them some slack since skate park designs simply weren't as good back then, and getting a park built in the first place was definitely way harder. The outdated park can still be fun to skate, and some of them do have cool features, but when you compare them to the modern landscape of skate parks, the majority of them are pretty mediocre. Next up, we have the indoor skate park. Indoor skate parks are usually found in areas where there's a lot of rain or snow, or just bad weather in general. This type of park plays a really useful role since it allows people to skate year-round, especially in areas where you couldn't do so otherwise. The indoor skate park is most commonly made of wood, which is why a lot of skaters like them so much, but it does come down to preference, and there's a decent amount of skaters who would rather skate on concrete. A great thing about indoor parks is that since most of the ramps aren't permanent, they get rearranged much more often than a normal outdoor park, so there's more of a variety of things to skate. Unfortunately, indoor skate parks seem to be on the decline, partially because more free public skate parks are being built, but also because skateboarders are known for being broke, and it's really expensive to keep a skate park running. Up next, we have the skate park that's barely a skate park. These are the parks that are so bad that you would almost rather have no park at all. Now, we're not just talking about skate parks that aren't the best quality or might not have the best obstacles. We're talking about parks that are literally the worst of the worst. Some of these parks are so bad that it's not just hard to skate them, it's literally impossible. A few of the common things you'll see at this type of park are obstacles with no run-up or landing, ramps that have absolutely terrible dimensions, or even just random design flaws that make it unskateable. Parks like these are usually built by local governments for as cheaply as possible, solely to check the box of saying they have a skate park. There's almost no funding, they don't consult anyone with knowledge on how skate parks are built, and they essentially just throw a few things together to pretend they put in some effort. You might think that skate parks like this are rare, but there are a surprising number of them that exist. They just tend to go under the radar. The next skate park on the list is the modern skate park. The modern skate park is built more like a street spot that just so happens to be meant for skating. These parks are often built into existing public spaces, and they're designed to blend in with the city's architecture. A lot of times they have more street-like obstacles rather than traditional skate park features, and instead of being a standalone skate park, they're more like a collection of skatable obstacles that get integrated with a public space. Some skateboarders really enjoy these parks since they resemble a more natural street-like environment, but other skateboarders see them as cheating since they're specifically designed for skateboarding, but they're made to look like a street spot. This type of park isn't super common yet, but they're definitely growing in numbers, and they'll likely become even more popular over time. So moving on, we have the small skate park. These types of parks usually have all of your basics such as flat bars and ledges and a few small quarter pipes, but occasionally they also have a couple of less standard features that are unique to just that park. The small skate park can oftentimes be a hidden gem since they don't get the same level of traffic as larger skate parks, and because they aren't very big, it's kind of hard to mess them up. Now, this isn't to say that all small skate parks are fun, because it is possible for smaller parks to be pretty bad, but oftentimes they tend to be a good change of pace and they usually don't get as crowded. In today's world where everyone thinks that bigger is better, it might seem counterintuitive that a smaller skate park can be more fun than a larger one, but when a small skate park is actually designed well, it can easily be just as good or even better than a lot of bigger skate parks out there. The next type of park is the private skate park. As the name suggests, private skate parks are privately owned and aren't open to the public. Ironically, most private skate parks are pretty well known, even though only a small number of people get to go. Private skate parks are usually really well built because they're designed by actual skateboarders and not just city officials. These types of parks are a little different from backyard parks because they're normally in a warehouse instead of a person's backyard, and there's multiple people who have access to them rather than just the owner. Private skate parks are typically used either as a place for people to skate where they don't have to worry about getting bothered, or as a place to film content. There's a decent amount of private skate parks out there, but they're not super common since they're pretty expensive to build and maintain, and there's not a lot of skaters who can afford one. Up next, we have the Plaza Skate Park. The Plaza Skate Park is a multi-million-dollar park that's built with a plaza-like layout. This design allows the flow to go in more of a circular motion where people can constantly cruise around rather than the traditional back and forth flow that most skate parks have. These types of skate parks consist predominantly of street skateboarding features with a few pieces of transition that are spread throughout. A plaza skate park is spaced out over a wide area, and there's normally a decent amount of space in between the obstacles. This type of layout allows a large number of people to skate it at the same time without feeling like it's crowded. Since plaza skate parks typically cost millions of dollars and take up a large amount of land, they aren't the most common, but they've been popping up more and more in bigger cities, and we'll likely see more as time goes on. There's tons of skate park styles out there, and they all have their own pros and cons, so it's tough to say for sure which one is the best. If there's a certain design that you like, or if you feel that anything was left out, go ahead and leave it in the comments. Do me a favor and leave a like on the video. Check out the links in the description. And with that said, thanks for watching.